scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize. Which side are you on?
Abortion.
Which side are you on?
Exactly.
That's how we intro a pod.
Now that's how you intro a podcast.
True.
Now that's abortion.
No,
What
that's
is that?
What I call
That's what I call abortion.
Woo! Anyway, remarks, podcasts,
Yes.
politics, left
The stuff
things
that
that
we
are
do.
left to that way.
to the left.
Exactly.
As Beyonce?
I don't know.
I think it was Beyonce.
Yeah, probably. All I know is the cha-cha slide. Ooh.
Sorry, that probably
crisp.
was so gross.
No,
Crisp.
it's ASMR.
That's true.
Welcome to the ASMR podcast.
This is Remarks. Abortion is really cool.
Abortion is sick.
We love it.
But yeah, so I mean, if you couldn't tell,
Yeah,
we're talking about abortion today.
we are. Oh, also I'm Phoebe.
I am Taylor. That is true.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's our names.
Mhm.
And we did post a little face reveal, so now y'all know
Yeah.
the looks behind your
True.
favorite voices.
True.
And you can see we're not lying about how sexy we are.
That's true.
Like
Yeah.
we've been so straight up with you guys
We've-
from the beginning.
We here at Remarks, we believe that transparency is key, and we would never lie and say that we're sexier than we actually were.
Exactly.
So we had to show it. We had
We
to prove
did,
it. You know?
yeah, and we didn't want to leave you in the dark about how sexy we were, so we had to continually say it because it would have been dishonest
That's
to
true.
not put it out there in the open. We are really, really sexy, and now you can look
Exactly.
and see for yourself. We've been truthful with you from the
Mhm.
beginning.
Yeah, no,
So.
for sure. But yeah, tell us in the comments somewhere, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you
Yeah.
want to, if you think we look like what you thought we looked like.
Yeah, I do really want to know
Yeah.
because
That is interesting because I've
Yeah.
never known somebody just purely from their voice,
yeah,
other than I guess podcasters.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm always shocked when I find out
me
what
too.
someone actually looks
yeah,
like,
me
you know?
too. I always
Yeah.
Google after listening to a couple episodes
Mm-hmm.
of a podcast and I get to know their voices. I'm have a picture of them in my head, and then I
True.
always go to Google and I'm
Oh. Yeah, for sure.
So
So it's interesting. It's
yeah,
interesting,
let us know.
to say the least. But yeah, do you want me to take it away,
Take it
skis?
away, skis.
On the hist,
As he does.
as I do, doing some classic history talk here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, our story starts a little bit before the 1800s. Good
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was fine, I'm sure.
Probably was all right for some people.
Probably for some it was probably great. For others, maybe not.
Not so good.
But so abortion had been widely held as legal and normalized until quickening happened. The great quickening.
Quickening.
Yeah. Quickening was the point at which a person could feel the movement of a fetus, typically around the 4th month of pregnancy.
Oh.
So I guess everybody in society was kind of like, oh yeah, it's not really a baby until you can feel it kicking and shit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, that's probably a kid in there. They're like, shit.
Probably what you got going on.
That's the most likely what. Diagnosed with child. Though abortion technology wasn't where it is today, it was common for household remedies to be made to stop an unwanted pregnancy. It was an early form of birth control used by people who didn't want to pop out a baby every time they got horny. Because, there was not necessarily condoms back then.
Right.
I mean, not even necessarily, actually. There was just not condoms back
Yeah.
then. So, I
Yeah.
mean, you had to do
Agreed.
something. Moving into the 1820s and 30s, we did see some regulation begin to take place on the drugs that were used to induce an abortion. Some of the common drugs were ones such as pennyroyal, rue, tansy, just to name a few of herbs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't necessarily I don't want to say it wasn't anti people with vaginas, there was regulations on those things, but a lot of times it was actually to protect the person who would be getting pregnant because there were a lot of snake oil salesmen that were trying to sell people random stuff. Despite the regulations and the fact that some of the drugs in question were fatal to women who used the drugs still remained advertised and sold because people kind of just did whatever they want back in the whatever they wanted back in the 1800s. So they like put regulations, again, not necessarily with bad intentions, to be like, hey, like you can't just sell people fucking arsenic.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
fucking, like
Be like, this will kill your baby.
yeah,
I kill you too.
for sure kill you as well. But yeah. Also, many of the remedies could be made in the comfort of one's home, so it didn't work all that well because, midwives, different people, they kind of had all these like recipes and remedies, so they kind of knew what they were doing. This was also the period of time when you could just say you were a doctor and sell something
Yeah.
that you wanted to, so it was really fun. You're just like, I don't know, you like hit a certain age, like probably like 14, and you were like, you know what? I'm a doctor now.
14.
I've picked some plants. I've rubbed some bark on me. Like,
Yeah.
I know what drugs are.
Totally. I can cut somebody open and if they die 9 out of 10 times, it's not my fault. That's how shit goes these days.
Hey, a 10% success rate was probably pretty good for back then.
Honestly. Side tangent, but my sister and I, when we were in Copenhagen, we went to this museum that was like just kind of like medical history museum, and literally doctors used to not wash their tools or their scrubs in between surgeries because it was like honorable if you were like really covered in blood to be like, look at all this surgery I've done.
I've done so much surgery.
Just to put it like to give you an idea where things were at.
It's like washing hands wasn't like
at all
known to be like a thing you should do.
Yeah.
So definitely not a good period of time. Although I did, you cut hair, and
do that.
barbers and barbers used to do surgery. So I feel like you're more than qualified to start doing surgery. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I just like bloodletting. That was like so much of what they did.
True.
That on the barber pole, like the red that goes down is literally for bloodletting. It's like a representation of the bloodletting that barber surgeons used to do. So yeah, I can do that. I'll just fucking slit a couple wrists while you're getting the haircut. Yeah. Be like, no, this is helping you. I promise. You're gonna like your hair way better. Yeah, exactly.
I always thought the red was for communist Russia.
Oh, well, that too.
Yeah, which is why you can't trust barbers because they're communists.
Dirty commies.
Dirty commies, yeah, as a matter of fact. Never shower.
Duh.
No.
Look at my hair right now.
I mean, I couldn't even tell. But these remedies had been used throughout history, and some dated back to even ancient Greece. Side note I wrote here, why did ancient Greece sound so lit, dude?
Okay,
like, what the fuck was, like, everybody's like, oh, those bad times back then. Ancient Greece sounded fucking
It really
tight.
sounded awesome. Like, gay stuff all the time.
All the time.
Bitches fighting lions.
Yeah.
Like, they had, like, all of this, like, sick
The Olympics.
stuff. The Olympics.
The original
Aqueducts.
Aqueducts, yeah. Like, that's fucking insane. That's crazy, actually, yeah.
They were, like, pretty fucking advanced.
Yeah. Ancient Greece, I'd live there.
Yeah.
I'd fuck with it. In 1857, the newly established American Medical Association began calling for the outlawing of abortion remedies and drugs throughout the country. This was due in part to them wanting to eliminate midwives and natural healers to make people rely on doctors more, which, I mean, again, like we were just talking about, it's good that, they're trying to hold standards for medicine because there were no standards for medicine, but also, like, there were a lot of fucking midwives who were insanely smart. Like, they knew everything. It was just like all the remedies cataloged in their fucking brain.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
And they're like, I've been doing this my whole damn life.
Yeah, they're like, I know what to do. But yeah, so they wanted people to rely on doctors. So the qualifications to become a doctor were getting more strict, which is a good thing. But at the same time, they wanted people to rely purely on doctors and less on snake oil salesmen and at-home remedies. Not a bad idea in theory, but it would limit the ability for a person to get abortion drugs if needed.
Right.
Or any kind of contraceptives. Because, then you also couldn't necessarily buy the same kind of ingredients that you would need to create said remedy.
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe, when you think of what causes 99.9% of bad things to happen in America, what is usually the culprit of those bad things?
Oh, God. Let's see. I'm going to go with capitalism.
Oh, that's a good one. It's a good one.
Okay.
Any other guesses?
Racism.
Good.
Okay.
Yes.
Am I going still?
I mean, if you want.
My last is sexism.
Yes. Okay, good. All those things. This is kind of encompasses all those things. If you guessed old white guys being racist and xenophobic, you would be absolutely correct.
Totally. Yes. Old white men.
Old white guys really have a brand, like,
Evilness.
Their brand is
the brand.
The brand is being evil as fuck. Many people had fears that with the rising number of immigration rates, there would be a decline in birth rates of white American-born babies from Protestant women, which, are the best ones, of course.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you can't.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Yeah. They could not let this happen, of course, but how would they keep these Protestant women, as they put it, from aborting their pregnancies?
Mm-hmm.
In 1896, our number one sponsor here at Remarks, the Catholic Church, banned abortion at any stage of pregnancy. No surprise there.
Yeah.
But that was did I say 1969? Is that the year I said? It was 1969.
Yes, that's what you said.
Nice. 69. In 1873, Congress set into motion the Comstock laws, which were named from one Anthony Comstock.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So was the Catholic Church banned for people, like for members of the Catholic Church, not like legally of like the government?
Yeah, so it would have been anybody like, basically, I mean, they couldn't really tell anybody what to do, I suppose, but they were basically saying like you can't have an abortion at any stage of pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of a debate going on at the time, was like, when can you do it? Like, it had normally been at the quickening, as they called it.
Yeah.
But now they were like, oh, if you're Catholic, it ain't happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fuck the Catholic Church.
Oh yeah.
They suck.
Mean, through and through.
Interesting side tangent, but interesting thing I read about is how like there's a huge maybe not so much anymore because people get old and die. There's a big in the gay rights movement, there's a very large portion of ex-nuns who supported gay rights, and it's usually because they were queer of some kind,
right?
And going in like being a nun, you didn't have to like, you could like study all you wanted, like you didn't have to like marry anybody because you're supposed to be married to Jesus,
right.
You would like get to hang out with a bunch of other women.
True.
So like, yeah, a lot of queer nuns, believe it or not.
Sounds fucking sick.
Yeah, no, if I
other
was
than like the Jesus part.
Yeah, if I was a woman and I was a lesbian and I was born not in our current time, I'd have been straight for the fucking monastery.
Take me to the abbey.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Anyway, back on track. Anthony Comstock was a Connecticut-born devout Christian who was appalled by all of the, quote, prostitution and pornography he saw on the streets of the city.
Wow, that sounds exactly like the language that's used today.
Absolutely. when he went to New York, that was the city, which, sounds pretty accurate. He started lobbying and fighting hard to illegalize abortions. With the passing of the Comstock laws and the general shift in religious views towards abortion, by the 1880s, abortion was outlawed across most of the country. And again, this is like evangelicals, at like the Protestants and whatnot, like they kind of have their thing. Catholics obviously are not a big fan of it. Like it's, again, kind of widely thought of around this time, 1880s, like abortion, not chill, religion, super
is chill.
Yeah, exactly. New England states had the strictest laws when it came to anti-abortion legislation, which I found interesting because one would assume it would be like southern states, but it's actually New England. Different time, I guess. But
I guess there's like a lot of Catholics.
Yeah, for sure. Massachusetts was bad, but the worst was Comstock's home state of Connecticut, Married couples could be thrown in jail for 1 year for using birth control in the privacies of their own bedrooms.
Oh my God.
This wasn't even when someone was actually pregnant, but also just using remedies for contraceptives at all.
Wow.
So it wasn't like necessarily just abortion. It was like contraceptives all around. Like it was
If
not.
we bust into your house and we see you fucking with a condom on,
Dunzos, yeah.
fucking slapped the cuffs on your wrist, taking you to jail, condom dangling off.
Yeah, for sure.
Still.
You're going downtown.
You're going downtown. You're using a condom.
He's like, I didn't even finish.
I was trying to do.
Can I just give me like 5 more minutes, dude?
I was attempting to do a New England accent.
I don't know. I mean, that was better than I could do.
This clam chowder. I don't know.
You're getting there.
I'm
for
sorry.
sure.
I gotta. That's my one region of accents I really gotta work on.
It sounds like it's a little slow. Like you have to like slow your speech down.
Yeah.
So you gotta like get it where you're talking fast, especially because out east people talk real fast.
They do talk real fast.
That's like their fucking thing. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Their brand, if you will. Yeah, it's wild. But yeah, so condoms still hanging from your dick, thrown in jail.
Yep.
You and the person that you're having sex with.
Right.
And again, even if you're a married couple, so it wasn't even
So
like
fucking crazy.
So, and that's what I was saying. Like, if you like every time you got horny, like you just kind of had to expect that you were gonna be popping out a fucking kid because there was no fucking
Jesus.
What else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Just, I mean, I guess the church's solution would just be to not fuck. So
True.
Because reproduction is only for having children.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you should be praying.
Yes.
Instead of fucking.
On those knees praying.
Yeah, not on those knees.
Sucking dick.
All right. This was the state of affairs for a few years, but our favorite problematic person, Margaret Thatcher, comes onto the scene, super stoked on birth control and whatnot, as she do. She was arrested in 1916 for opening the first birth control clinic, which I think we talked about on one of our other
I think you're right.
women episodes.
Yeah.
Episodes about people being shitty to women.
Some classic sexism.
But yeah, so she opens the first birth control clinic. This resulted in the 1918 Crane decision to legalize birth control to people for therapeutic reasons only, was the caveat there. So I don't know exactly what that means.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know if it's like, I guess maybe like if you had really bad cramps and
shit.
Like,
hysteria, as they would call it.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, this helps women be slightly less
if you're one of them hysterical women, like, no. I loved how that was like I did feel like when women went to the doctor for like the majority of history, they were just like, I don't know, she fucking crazy, dude. Like,
yeah. Diagnosed crazy.
Crazy.
This woman's like, yeah, I don't know, like the bone in my arm is like just it's sticking out of my skin. This bitch is insane.
Fucking crazy.
She just has hysteria over here.
I mean, what is like the patriarchy if not just like a mass gaslighting campaign for women throughout all of history?
Literally.
Being like,
the number one gaslighter.
What do you mean? You're crazy. You're like, my arm is literally broken. I can't move it. You're like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
Broken arms don't break, actually.
Okay. Crazy.
Next year, you're gonna be telling me jet fuel melts steel beams. Yeah. So really good stuff. Don't by any means think that we support Margaret Thatcher in this house, though, because she did suck in a lot of different ways. True. But she did do a lot of progressive things for birth control. Yeah. But she's also a fucking eugenicist, which, again, was not...
It's like, that's the thing with, I mean, like, I don't know, I guess all throughout history, but especially, like, back in the day, it's like, oh my god, this person did all this sick shit. Oh. Ooh, never mind.
Well, and interestingly enough, too, I know as far as, like, Margaret Thatcher goes, like, she was pretty progressive even when it came to race. She just hated, like, disabled people, you know? Like, she didn't really, like, discriminate on race or, like, sex or anything like that. It was all just didn't think disabled people should have rights or procreate.
Great.
Which is, not very cool.
Yeah. God.
So... fun stuff there. Anyway, you know what does think...
No! Oh no.
Ooh, is that was a bad one. I mean, I would assume that the one and only sponsor of this podcast, Anchor FM, does think that disabled people deserves rights.
And if not, we're gonna have a word.
We're gonna have to have a real long chat.
That's my fist.
That was your fist. Bucko.
Anyway.
Hey y'all, we're fucking back.
That for some reason sounded like you were about to make a sad announcement. Hey y'all. So, abortion.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Get your game on.
Go fucking play.
Go
dude.
play.
Yeah, no, get outside, go play.
Yeah. Those Nickelodeon where they would literally just turn nothing on for an entire day and be like, get outside and play. And it's just has a standby thing of that says that, and they don't put shows on all day.
That. Another thing I remember now is that Nickelodeon, for some reason, in the early 2000s, they were giving out ad slots to just anybody. They were just fucking handing that shit out, so you could just put an ad in there. And Cartoon Network did an ad on Nickelodeon.
Oh my god!
Which is the most savage thing in the entire fucking world, dude.
That's really funny.
And it had all the Cartoon Network characters come on screen, and they're like, "Check us out on Cartoon Network." This they fucking got him, dude.
Why did they not vet that?
That's what why would they just let that happen? Jesus.
Just let themselves get fucking wrecked on their own network.
And get fucking owned, Nickelodeon. Yeah. Fucking dorks, dude.
Dorks.
I will say, both networks have good shows.
Totally.
SpongeBob, though, I feel like Nickelodeon's been coasting off SpongeBob for a long time, you know?
Yeah.
I can't think of any show that's had the same impact on Nickelodeon as SpongeBob.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like in the beginning of Cartoon Network, there was some staples that were really good, but there was some, at least in my opinion, I feel like there was some shows that it was just kind of okay, I don't really know what we're doing here. But now I feel like they have Regular Show and Adventure Time and Gumball, and do they do Gravity Falls on there too?
No, it's actually Disney.
Gravity Falls is Disney.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the one that's similar? What's the one that I always think is Gravity Falls, Taylor? In my brain, if you could just get in there really quick.
There is this cool one that was Cartoon Network, I think called it's called Over the Garden Hedge.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yep.
See,
it's Adventure
you know me
Time.
So well.
Yeah, it's true. When I watched that for the first time, I was like, oh, so it's just Adventure Time, but written by H.P. Lovecraft. That's the vibe it gives off. But,
and they had Total Drama Island.
Oh, that was such a
so
good
fun. I love that show.
Oh my fucking god, dude!
Watch that again.
Oh, is
that anywhere?
I have no idea.
For some reason, I thought it was on Netflix.
Maybe
recently. Maybe I'm crazy.
The first one, the first season of that, the later seasons were fine.
Yeah,
but the first season of that, so fucking funny, dude.
Funny.
And it was it was weird too because it was geared for an older audience. They were teenagers.
Yeah.
They would have all this drama. They would make out and stuff, which is not what you would expect on Cartoon Network, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Fucking what a show.
I know. Did you ever watch that show 16? I don't know if it was
god.
on.
Yes,
Wasn't
I
that
did.
Show so awesome?
That show was so fucking funny. I remember being I don't know, fucking 11 or 12 and being I want to be a 16-year-old skateboarding at the mall. Are you fucking kidding me? That's so sick.
I was I can't wait to be 16 with my 16 friends.
Exactly, yeah. That was such a good fucking show.
And that one was the same, they would be making out and doing stuff. There was an episode where the blonde girl that worked at the lemonade place,
oh yeah,
she was making out with this dude, and then she accidentally squished his balls. And I just remember in the show specifically this moment because she was talking to her friend about it, and she goes, I squished his kiwis.
Yeah, Cartoon Network used to be edgy as fuck.
It was
actually.
edgy. It was
that
very
was edge lord humor for 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
Damn. What a fucking what a channel.
I know. Anyway, let's get back into some stuff that sucks.
So
let's bum everyone out
abortion.
Again. So abortion.
Kids watch cartoons. kids are aborted.
Great segue.
Yeah, there you go. So, in 1936, the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals made the decision on the United States versus one package case that made it possible for doctors to send contraceptives across state lines. This, of course, was a big deal for distributing birth control around the country to people who may not have had access in specific states. So that was kind of a huge case at that time because, again, you could start getting mailed contraceptives. You didn't have to either travel to another state or... and then, traveling to another state, there was probably laws around that too. So,
right.
Big deal. This case, among others, paved the way for legitimizing birth control for the general public. Moving forward a little bit more, we have the 1965 case where the Supreme Court struck down a law that would ban birth control to married couples, as well as another attempted in 1972 to ban birth control from unmarried adults. So in 1965, they were like, oh, married couples don't need birth control. 1972, oh, unmarried adults don't need birth control. They're really just kind of trying to get fucking anybody to stop having autonomy over their bodies.
Yeah.
Which we love.
It's like, you're married and you're having sex, you should be popping out kids. You're not married, don't be having sex.
And don't be having sex. How about that? Yeah, very much, again, it kind of just goes back to religious people thinking that reproduction is the only reason people have sex.
Exactly.
Which,
Which they should know isn't true because they're human beings.
You'd think so.
But
I think it's just because, religious people and, Republicans can't get any fucking bitches, dude.
Ooh,
shit.
Got him.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, like the Ben Shapiro vibe where he's like, actually, vaginas shouldn't be wet. That's not. It's like, oh shit.
Oh, Ben.
Who's gonna tell Ben that he's never made his wife wet?
Who's gonna tell Ben his wife is miserable?
I don't know. Blink twice if you need help, Mrs. Shapiro. While all of this was happening in 1970, Hawaii became the first state to legalize abortion, and New York was soon to follow suit. By 1973, abortion was legal in those two states as well as Alaska and Washington. So public opinion was changing as the fight for women's liberation and other social movements were taking place. The abortion legalization in Hawaii was only for Hawaiian residents, and then the one in New York that happened right after was for anybody who was there.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. This brings us to the crux of our story, which starts with a woman by the name of Norma McCovey. McCovey? One second. McCorvey, my apologies. Norma McCorvey. She had grown up in impoverished circumstances and had given birth twice at this point in her life, but put both of the children up for adoption. At the time, in 1969, abortion was legal in Texas, but only for the purpose of saving the life of the parent who would be giving birth. At this point, there was broadly two ways of having an abortion. One would either have lots of money to go to a different area of the world and get an abortion or bribe a doctor to perform the procedure, or you could attempt to terminate the pregnancy on your own through other not safe methods. Back alley abortions were common, as well as ones done at home and administered by the person themselves. As you can imagine, both of these options were incredibly dangerous, especially when compared to the medical capability that was available at the time. So it's kind of like you either bribe doctors or you do it yourself.
Yeah.
Norma McCorvey was unable to afford a safe abortion, so she was referred to Texas attorneys Linda Coffey and Sarah Weddington, who were looking to challenge the abortion laws in the country at the time. Norma McCorvey would later become known in court documents as Jane Roe. There was another man by the name of Henry Wade who had also come into the limelight for the case. Wade had been and this is just a random fact, but Wade had been the prosecutor of Jack Ruby, who was the man who killed Lee Harvey Oswald, the alleged assassin of JFK.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So he was the prosecutor in that case, but unless they said alleged assassin, because no, I'm not so sure. CIA may have killed him. In 1970, the attorneys filed a lawsuit on behalf of McCorvey and all people who, and I quote, who were or might become pregnant and want to consider all options against Henry Wade. In June of 1970, a Texas district court ruled that the abortion ban was illegal and violated privacy that was protected under the 14th Amendment, which reads, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So, I think it's a fancy fucking founding father words, but like basically saying like everybody's fucking, entitled to their privacy. The state can't step in and say like you don't have control over life, liberty, and property kind of thing, which like, your life is like being pregnant is a huge part of your life. So
exactly.
They shouldn't have say over what you do with that.
Yes.
Kind of the idea. Which to me makes complete sense.
Yeah, you would think. And that's the thing is you would think that like fucking all these Republican-ass motherfuckers who are like very anti-government control would be like by principle on board with it. But again, I know there's like abortion propaganda that's like permeated, but it's you'd think that they would be like, the fuck, you can't make a law that says that this person can't do something that they want to do or whatever, Yeah, but they don't actually believe in anything they say. So.
True, they only believe in their own agenda. Mm-hmm. Fun stuff. So even after this ruling, Wade continued to prosecute doctors who performed abortions. So the case was appealed by the Supreme Court, and McCorvey gave birth and put her child up for adoption. On January 22nd, 1973, the Supreme Court, in a 7-2 decision, struck down the Texas law banning abortion and basically legalizing it throughout the nation by setting the precedent that you can't create a law that bans abortion.
Right.
A precedent had been set in that states were not allowed to ban the right for a person to make the decision to abort a fetus, and it was backed by the Constitution of the United States. The court ruled that pregnancy would be divided into 3 trimesters. The first trimester, a person would be allowed to make the decision to get an abortion or not. Second trimester would be regulated by the government. They would make the decision for the health of the mother of the child. So basically, it could say like, oh, you can or can't get an abortion depending on the circumstances. And the third trimester, a state would be able to decide if abortion would be banned or not during this time. And we all lived happily ever after.
Yay!
Nothing bad ever happened again.
End of podcast.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I've said it before, but like, I feel bad because like your stories are always like, oh, well, and then everything was great.
Yeah,
and
I talk for like 2 minutes and then the show ends.
Exactly. You're like, oh yeah, everything was cool from that point forward.
Because that's totally how it always goes. It's just
progress.
As we all know, shit's just been like chilling since like 1982. Like we just been good to go, my dude.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like there's not been a bad thing that's happened. Yeah.
Can't think of a one.
Yeah. Not even one. I mean, because I have heard that like we have world peace. Everybody's fed.
Yeah.
We're saving the earth by looking into renewable energy sources.
Totally. We already have them, actually.
Yeah, actually,
they're
at
everywhere.
This point, yeah, it's crazy.
There's no fossil fuels or like coal or like the environment dying or deforestation or nothing.
I mean,
like
it's
that.
great. It's a really good future.
Yeah.
I've only read history up to like 60, 72. So like I don't really like that's why I rely on you so much to like tell me what's been happening.
Yeah, you don't got to worry about a thing.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we're just coasted.
Sick. Love it. But yeah, that's my whole section right up to Roe v. Wade.
Lovely.
To the decision of Roe v. Wade.
Yes. Fantastic. Well, skipping ahead. Bad news, folks. Everything's not all right.
Wait, what the fuck?
Sorry, Taylor.
Excuse
Buckle
me.
in. Also, I'm gonna read this verbatim how I started writing it the other night because I was drunk, so it's a little bit funny.
All right.
The title is just Roe v. Wade is super gay. Why does everyone hate women? So everyone be trying to repeal Roe v. Wade, and it's really stupid of them and also gay. So here's what's up and why they do that. They hate women. End of podcast.
That's true. Yeah, that's facts there, actually.
So that's how I started my notes the other day, and then
all right.
I actually did a good job after that.
I mean, that sounded very, very professional.
It's pretty concise and exactly all you need to know.
I'm just really upset that I've been lied to this whole time. Everything's not okay.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, Taylor. It's gonna be
You're like, wait until you hear about these NFT things. I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
I just like not Mad Men, what is it called? I just like Men in Black clear your mind after every episode of like where so you just keep thinking stuff. Everything's okay.
I'm like, everything's super good,
So okay, real podcast now. So it's a little bit ironic that we were talking about government leaks the last I guess not last week because we took a break, but the week before, and the week before that actually. But yeah, because as y'all probably know, the recent news has been very centered around leaks lately. So most of you have probably heard by now about the leak of the drafted decision by the Supreme Court to remove federal protections from abortion rights. This would remove the protections given to us by the classic case of Roe v. Wade, as Sweet Taylor just told us all about. So Roe v. Wade was up on the voting docket of the Supreme Court again this February, mostly because multiple states, most famously Georgia, have been working over fucking time. Tirelessly. To pass laws banning abortions after just a few short weeks of pregnancy. This has been something that we've been seeing for like 5+ years now, probably even longer, of like the like Taylor was saying, basically up until like the second trimester, when then a doctor kind of has their hands in the decision. They've been trying to just shorten that amount of time. So in Georgia, state lawmakers were gunning to ban abortion after just 15 weeks. So this would be around 3 months into a pregnancy. And many people are not even aware that they're pregnant this soon into the pregnancy. But we're going to get a little bit into those kind of logistics later.
Fucking 15. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Cause, like, you're just, because I've known multiple people who like get really sick and they go to the hospital and then they're like, oh shit, I'm fucking pregnant. Like, they just didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking, I don't know, it's fucking insane.
Yeah. Because like pregnancy appears very differently in everybody. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Everybody's body reacts extremely differently to it. So it's like the classic signs aren't always exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And so then you have these things that are not the classic signs and you're like, well, I'm chilling. I'm just have something else wacky wrong with me.
Yeah. Well, and then especially too, because like birth control doesn't always work. And I know a lot of birth control will make you not get a period.
Yep.
And if you don't get a period ever, then you're not going to know that you're missing your period.
Exactly. Exactly. And we'll talk about that a little bit. So the recent leak was a first draft of the majority opinion. So what this means is that a vote was taken and the majority of the Supreme Court voted to remove Roe v. Wade and give the power of the decision to the states. Quote, "It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives," said Associate Justice of the Supreme Court Samuel Alito, which you've probably heard his name when referring to this draft, calling it the Alito draft.
Yeah. That's literally, I just fucking read the part of the Constitution that says that you can't fucking do that. Like, it's fucking bullshit.
It's so funny because these people will always pick and choose things, just like they do with the Bible. They'll always pick and choose things in the Constitution that, like, sticks out to them and that they think, that, they'll just use it to fucking justify their shit. But, so just, I want to read that again to really just hammer it in there. "It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives." Tell me why the issue of
nothing but a heartache.
Tell me why. Sorry. Ain't nothing. Let's just do that instead of talking about it. Instead of doing this, which makes me really mad. So tell me why, Backstreet Boys, are we putting the decision about the issue of abortion into the hands of elected representatives? Why the fuck does a random person elected to the state get to decide what a human being is doing with their personal body? Just the way that is worded is so fucking like,
oh yeah,
asinine to me, because it's like, oh, let's purify this decision and return it to who it really belongs to, elected representatives.
Yeah, well, and then like the idea that like, I mean, there's a lot of shit to be said about like the concept of like a republic like we have, where you elect representatives because they don't represent everybody, first of all.
Yeah.
And second off, the whole point of like the Constitution and like the federal government is to protect people from like elected representatives, right?
Exactly.
Like, to say like, oh, this elected representative doesn't like, he wants to fucking kill all gay people. Like the federal government has to be like, you can't do that.
Right, like, right. That's why we have a federal government.
That's why they're there.
Or why we should, I suppose.
That's why they should not be. I mean, they should be, nice and cool, but they're not. But
yeah.
Like, you get the idea. Like, in theory, that's the point of the federal government.
Yes. So what this draft decision means is that abortion would no longer be a federally protected right, and that it would be up to state governments to create laws surrounding how far into a pregnancy an abortion would be allowed. So obviously, there's going to be multiple states that are going to push this to be just the least amount of weeks possible. 15, we were hearing about, I cannot remember what state it was trying to push it to 6 weeks, which is nothing.
That's literally
by the way.
And a half.
Yeah, you would not know.
You would not know.
And then there is, of course, going to be states that you've probably heard the term trigger states, that are going to, without the protection of Roe v. Wade, just move it to outright banning abortions at all.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
So I want to read a little listy list right now of where these states are sitting currently, and then where they believe that like they would be without Roe v. Wade in place. So going through state by state here. So Alabama right now, abortion is allowed up to 20 weeks into the pregnancy, which still is not very much. Without Roe v. Wade, Alabama would most likely completely ban abortion, as they've been really working to do for like a while. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California. The whole time I was reading this, I just was like playing that. And then when I was in a hurry today, sorry to go off a little bit.
It's okay.
But whenever I'm in a hurry, I randomly will get like a song stuck in my head that will just play really, really fast in my head. Just in case you people wanted to know like what type of like mentally unstable I am. And so today, as I was like trying to rush and like do so many things, I was like, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, just like driving around like, fuck, I gotta get places.
Okay. But you know what fucking song gets stuck in my head all the time? That's literally been getting stuck in my head since I was in 4th fucking grade, is that goddamn state song that's like, Utah, people working together. You know the Utah. Fucking song.
Oh, of course I do. We had to do a whole thing about
that's it.
What a great place to be, blessed from heaven above. It's the land that we love. This is the place. I keep almost knocking my entire laptop off the fucking...
I don't know why that has stuck with, I mean, everybody apparently, like, so, but like, I will still find myself having that song stuck in my head, and I'm like, we did that when I was in 4th fucking grade. Like, I'm 25 years old. Like, why the fuck?
But I feel like the amount of time that we would focus throughout the year on those fucking programs was like a lot of time.
Yeah.
And kind of like, why a little bit?
Kind of like, what's the point?
Like, I enjoyed it. It was fun because I didn't like school necessarily. But
looking back, like, there's a lot of things I could have learned.
So many things to learn.
That I didn't learn throughout my entire public education that I could have been learning when we were doing nothing.
Yeah. I probably could do like long division now.
Yeah, most likely.
I can't. So
no, definitely not.
Well, I'm gonna take a break and try to figure out how to do long division.
We'll check back in with you.
Yeah.
Once Phoebe figures it out.
Ads that may or may not play.
They probably won't, but. Ads.
We're just two gay bitches that talk about politics.
That's true. Yeah.
What do you expect from us?
What do you expect? We, we're not hip with the times.
Yeah.
We don't like I don't know, Marvel movies.
I don't know what's cool these days.
I will say I did like the Ant-Man movies. I do say that a lot, but it's only because I just think Paul Rudd is really hot.
He is sexy.
He's one of those dudes who's like gotten hotter as he's gotten older, you know? Like he's
Jeff
become
Goldblum.
daddy. Like Jeff Goldblum.
That man aged like fine wine.
Fine wine. I feel like another one in the contender is like George Clooney is like hot older guy.
Oh yeah. Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah. Yeah. Even what's the fuck is his name? He played Joker. Phoenix is his last name.
Oh, Joaquin
Phoenix.
Yeah.
He's all right. I don't know.
I gotta look at who's the other lady who she popped up in this show. Oh, Susan Sarandon. She's sexy as hell.
I mean, you can say Winona Ryder too, though.
Oh my god, yeah. Are you kidding me?
Are you
Let's
fucking
say
kidding
it.
me? Let's talk about it.
The end of show.
Yeah.
From now on, we're just talking about how hot Winona Ryder is.
Yeah, sorry. Abortion can wait.
Abortion can wait.
Winona Ryder.
This isn't like a pressing issue or anything.
Yeah,
we got 2 months.
For sure.
So anyway, getting back into state by state, what's going on and what could be going on. So in Alaska right now, there's no gestational age restrictions on abortion. As Taylor was saying, Alaska was kind of always pretty chill about it. Without Roe, they don't have like an estimate, but I have a feeling just based on, I don't know, Alaska's like, fucking leave us alone. Like, we don't even want to be a part of your stupid country anyway.
I was gonna say, I feel like Alaska is very like principled in that, where they're like, even if like the people there are more like religious, they're also very anti-government control. So like they're gonna be like, no, you can't fucking do that. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
In Arizona, there's a new law actually that's possibly going to affect this summer that would outlaw abortion after 15 weeks. So that's like around the 3-month mark. Without Roe, abortion most likely will be banned. Arkansas, right now, it's up to 20 weeks that you can get an abortion. Without Roe, it would for sure be banned.
Yeah.
In California, right now, it's up to viability. So kind of like you were saying, through the second trimester. Right now, or with Roe being removed, it probably would stay the same just based on who California is. In Colorado, no age restrictions. Without Roe, probably would be protected still.
Yeah.
Connecticut, second trimester up to viability, and it would probably stay the same. Which is kind of interesting because you were saying it was like much worse back then, but Connecticut's become extremely liberal.
The East Coast has kind of changed.
Yeah. Delaware, right now, it's up to viability. Without Roe, it would be the same. In DC, no age restrictions. Without Roe, it would likely be protected. Florida, abortion currently is available up to 24 weeks, but there is a new law that's going to be effective probably in July that would put it at 15 weeks.
Ooh.
And then without Roe, it would likely be banned. In Georgia, right now, you can get an abortion up to 20 weeks. They are pushing to get that to 15.
Ooh.
And then without Roe, it would for sure be banned. In Hawaii, right now, it's available up to viability. Without Roe, it would be the same. Idaho, viability. Without Roe, it would be banned. Most likely. Again, all of the without Roe is like
it's
estimates, basically. Yeah. In Illinois, right now, it's up to viability. It would be the same. I hope this is interesting. I'm realizing this is a long list.
No.
In Indiana, right now, you can get an abortion up to 20 weeks. Without Roe, abortion will likely be banned. Indiana is also right now trying to ban IUDs, as well as other contraceptions. There's been talk of condom bans, which is so fucking crazy.
It's so insane.
It's insane. But they are trying to get rid of IUDs, Plan B, and pill birth control.
Bro, they're really pushing me to just be gay. Like,
I know.
You too. But
seriously.
Like, just like, yeah, like they really want the bisexuals to like just be gay.
Yeah.
Because
that's really all this is all about. It's just biphobia.
Yeah, it's all comes back to biphobia.
That was a teeny tiny little hiccup. In Iowa, you can get an abortion up to 20 weeks currently without Roe, banned. Kansas, up to 20 weeks without Roe. Nobody really know. Nobody has put out an estimation yet.
Interesting.
Kentucky, 20 weeks without Roe, banned. Louisiana, 20 weeks without Roe, banned. So, I mean, as we're going, this is a lot of places that it would be outright banned. In Maine, it's up to viability without Roe, stay the same. Maryland, exactly the same. Viability without Roe would be the same. In Massachusetts, abortion is available up to 24 weeks. And without Roe, it would probably move to that viability law.
Oh, interesting. So it'd actually go up more?
I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is, I'm like, why?
Kind of weird.
In Michigan, it is up to viability. Without Roe, it would be banned. In Minnesota, viability without Roe, nobody's really sure. Mississippi, you can get it up to 20 weeks without Roe, banned. Obviously, that's what a lot of these southern states have because of, unfortunately, they're very conservative governments. In Missouri, viability without Roe, banned. Montana, viability without Roe, banned. Nebraska, 20 weeks without Roe, banned. Nevada, abortion is up to 24 weeks, and then without Roe, it would be to viability.
Mm-hmm.
New Hampshire, up to 24 weeks without Roe, unsure. New Jersey has no gestational age restrictions, and without Roe, it would likely be protected still. New Mexico, again, there's no restrictions now, and it would likely stay the same. New York is up to viability right now, and then without Roe would be the same. North Carolina is viability, unclear without Roe. North Dakota, abortion up to 20 weeks right now. Without Roe, it would be banned. Ohio, up to 20 weeks without Roe, banned. Oklahoma, up to 20 weeks, but they are actually moving. This is so fucked up. In Oklahoma, right now you can get an abortion up to 20 weeks. However, in the summer, so all of these states that you're seeing push to move it down weeks or to outright ban it, all of that is going to come to fruition in the summer. So we'll see what's going to go on in a few months here. So in Oklahoma, they're pushing to make abortion at any stage a felony.
Oh my God.
Yes.
You could actually go to prison. Like...
Yes. And I'll get into a little bit later things that are so much worse that are happening in this same kind of vein. So they're trying to do that now, and it would be the same and probably much worse without Roe. So it would for sure be banned, and then also you would be a murderer. So cool. In Oregon, there's no age restrictions, and it would probably be protected without Roe. In Pennsylvania, you can get an abortion up to 24 weeks without Roe. No say yet. In Rhode Island, it's up to viability. Without Roe, it would be the same. South Carolina, up to 20 weeks without Roe, banned. South Dakota, up to 20 weeks without Roe, banned. Tennessee is up to viability, but without Roe, it would be banned. In Texas, abortion is available up to 6 weeks.
Yeah, I knew Texas had
of
rough
course.
ones.
6 weeks is just about 2 months into a pregnancy, which is very rare to tell that you were pregnant at that point.
Yeah.
Also, which I will try to get into this a little bit later. We're almost through the list all the way here, but they don't measure pregnancy. It's not like you're not measuring it based on like conception.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, oh, day 1, okay, now it starts. You have all this time. It's like, no, you could be like already a few weeks into the pregnancy and they start measuring at that point. It's just like whenever you come into the doctor, that's when it begins. So in Utah, abortion is available up to viability. Without Roe, it would for sure be banned. Love living here. In Vermont, no age restrictions. Without Roe, you would be chilling. In Virginia, you can get an abortion all the way up to the 3rd trimester without Roe. It's not been stated yet. Washington, with Roe, abortion is available up to viability. Without, you would likely still have that protection. West Virginia, it's up to 20 weeks without Roe, banned. Wisconsin, 20 weeks without Roe, banned. Wyoming, up to viability, but without Roe, banned. Mm-hmm. And that is it. I did not realize what state I was on yet. So there you go. So we have quite a few states in there. Honestly, the majority of which you would be banned from having abortions at all. As I was saying, there are multiple states, not just what was it, Oklahoma, I said, that is trying to push to move abortion to a felony, like an actual murder felony. Mm-hmm. Another thing that you've probably been seeing floating around is actually that they are also trying to push for miscarriages to be considered a felony.
Oh my God.
As if you had murdered the child.
So I guess that makes sense because, like, if you're going to consider a fetus that's aborted, then, like, also a miscarriage would be. Right. But it's both batshit fucking insane.
Yeah. And if I'm going to be the absolute worst person ever and try to reason what their guesses are there, I guess that, you know, their thoughts are that it's these, like, at-home abortion type things that lead to a miscarriage type termination of the pregnancy. Yeah. Would be their justification, I suppose. However, most people that have miscarriages, it is a very upsetting thing that they do not want to have happen. Yeah. You are already suffering enough. Now let's throw that person in jail.
Sounds fun.
For probably the worst moment of their life. Mm-hmm. So I love this shit. As I also said, there's multiple states that are trying to ban birth control, especially IUDs and Plan B. I did also state there's states moving to ban condom usage, which is so good.
I know.
Because as we know, condoms are not just for
pregnancy
prevention. Yeah. There's also these crazy things called STDs, which can really fuck up your life. So as I was talking about before, many people might not even be aware that they're pregnant. As you had mentioned, Taylor, either due to the use of, like, birth control, where if you have an IUD or if you're on pill birth control or the Depo shot or whatever it is, or the NuvaRing, you likely won't have a period.
Yeah.
However, birth control is not foolproof and you can still get pregnant on birth control. And so you would not even know that you were pregnant because you wouldn't have a missed period to calculate it by, to say,
And then you got fucking, in the most generous of situations, you have 6 weeks in some of these places. Yeah. Soon to be a ban if it gets overturned.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, well, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm. Or even people who aren't on birth control just have, like, irregular periods, or if you're even still on birth control, you could just have an irregular period that it comes and goes, or it's just really light sometimes. A lot of people actually will continue to spot through pregnancy. Mm-hmm. That's very normal all the way up to the birth, because there's a fucking child inside your uterus kicking around making you bleed.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, because periods are extremely unpredictable, there's a lot of people who will just spot through it and not know until it's, like, apparently too late.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, as I was saying, a lot of people don't even show any signs of pregnancy until 6 months or even longer into the pregnancy. Mm-hmm. It's extremely different for everybody. Everybody reacts very differently. Some people have extreme morning sickness. Some people have nothing. My mom, for both my sister and I, was on birth control. And for both my sister and I, especially me, she did not know that she was pregnant. I think she was pregnant with me for, like, 6 months plus before she knew that she was actually pregnant.
That's absolutely fucking insane.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. I just was, like, a very noodly baby. And I think I was, like, I can't remember. I would have to ask my mom. But I, like, didn't weigh much at all. But I was, like, really, really long.
Nice.
So I just must have been, like, whoop, like, sitting in her uterus. All, like, twisted
just
up or something.
Chilling.
Yeah. But, yeah, she had no idea.
That's crazy.
So there's multiple, like, there's plenty of people that has happened to. there's other things too. I mean, the body reacts very strangely, and as we've discussed at length on this podcast, our healthcare system is shit.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't even have the idea or the option to go to the doctor if they notice something is off about themselves. They just kind of have to deal through it.
Oh, for sure. Well, that's like the biggest thing is like in a lot of these states that are banning abortion, like people don't have the resources to, first of all, get the medical care they need to get contraceptives, which, they're also trying to ban. And then in some cases, I know like going to different states that do allow abortion is a thing, but like a lot of people can't fucking afford that.
Exactly.
So it's, again, it just another instance of like, it's illegal to be poor. You know?
Exactly. And the thing is, too, is that it's like, as we just read through that list, that is a huge chunk of this country that is going to be outright banning abortion. It's going to be more and more difficult to travel to these other states. And as that sort of thing becomes normalized and starts to take over the country, it's a matter of time until it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Or, fuck, we see how fucking intense our goddamn border patrol is. It's going to be... I'm sure there will be similar setup to people traveling out of state to receive abortions.
Yeah.
There's already restrictions on certain type of travel. Like,
yeah,
it's only a matter of time.
It's already, like, I think illegal in some places to cross the border to get an abortion.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it can be fucking, it's, it's just very, and fuck the government, dude. Like, fuck these states. Like, they had so much time to make it like literally like a protected right. And like they didn't.
They didn't.
Make it a law,
Well, and literally Joe Biden said that he was going to codify Roe v. Wade, and then, of course, never did. And now here we are.
Crazy.
Because what has he done?
Literally.
At all for his entire presidency. Another thing, too, is that pregnancy tests are often very inaccurate. So even if somebody is able to notice a missing period or having strange symptoms that are similar to pregnancy, and they can take a pregnancy test, oftentimes they'll get a false negative.
Yeah.
So if you cannot afford to go to the doctor because health insurance is shit, or you don't have it to find out if you're actually pregnant from a doctor, you try to do an at-home pregnancy test that is false, and then later you find out, oh shit, I am actually pregnant. You never knew.
You never knew.
Now you're 6 weeks into this bullshit, and there's nothing you can do.
Better either have the child or start looking at the fucking adoption agencies. Like,
yes.
And it's just, it's so dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Here's a few other facts just about things that are going on with abortion currently. So in 36 states, they require an abortion to be performed by a licensed physician, which, as you were kind of mentioning before, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing because there is these like midwifery or people like that do fucking know what they're doing, but they're not licensed physicians. And also this obviously is in place because of the back alley abortion type deal, which I was listening to a podcast that was talking about underground abortions, and they're actually you can get ones that are extremely safe.
Yeah.
It's quite an easy procedure to perform. Actually, a section abortion is very easy, and there's devices that they have that were from like the 1950s or something that still work perfectly well.
Damn.
Just as easily as one that you would find in a Planned Parenthood today.
Interesting. Yeah, that goes against the info. Well, maybe not all of the info, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it goes both ways, right?
Yeah.
Because you have plenty of options to receive safe abortions that are not from a licensed physician, from like an underground abortion network. However, also, there's plenty of ways that you're not going to get a safe abortion.
It could be, yeah.
And there's plenty of people who are in desperate situations who are either going to try and do it by self-medicating or alcohol or things like that, or the old coat hanger method, which is, this idea that floats around all the time. So anyway, this law is good, but it's mostly used to punish people.
Yeah.
There is also in 19 states, you have to have the abortion done in a hospital after a certain amount of weeks.
Yeah.
And then in 17 states, you have to have the involvement of two physicians after a certain amount of time into the pregnancy.
Well, and I feel like this just goes to show, like, all of this info that in, like, the list you gave, that, like, there's so many different ideas, and like a lot of them negative, a majority of them negative, on like, again, how much control you should assert over, again, somebody's bodily autonomy. And like, it just goes to show why there needs to be a Roe v. Wade and something needs to be codified, because no state agrees one way or the fucking other, right?
Right.
It's like,
and this is why we have federally protected things.
Exactly. This is
so that it's not a complete shit show.
This is like the one instance where I'm like, yeah, this is a thing that like a fucking government should be protecting for people. Like,
if we're gonna have a government, let's maybe
this
do
should
it
be the thing.
Like this. Then.
This should be a thing that they want to cover. It should be one of the things they do.
Exactly.
And they can't. They get no problem fucking people over. No problem selling fucking arms to Iran in the 1980s. No problem fucking name a million things, overthrowing socialist countries. But when it comes to the one thing that they are supposed to be doing, they don't. It's
and get this too.
Dumb.
Because of this leak happening, as we've all been seeing, there's been multiple protests outside of the homes of Supreme Court justices, and it took them 24 hours to pass what's the word I'm looking for? Like beefed up security around these justices' homes. Yeah. Like it was like that fucking quick.
For sure.
To get that done. So, what have we been waiting for with abortion?
Yeah, why does it take long to do anything that's going to actually help anybody? And but it's so easy to get fucking Congress pay raises, like yeah, it's fucking love the government, dude. Favorite thing, in God we trust, That's all I can say.
Amen.
Amen. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Capitalist Jesus.
Capitalist Jesus. In 33 states and in D.C., you are not allowed to use state funds towards abortions. And you can only use federal funds when a patient's life is in danger or if the pregnancy is the result of rape or incest. And then in South Dakota, you can only use funds if it's a life endangerment situation.
I see.
Where was my last thing I wanted to talk about? Yes. So, waiting period. So in 25 states, you have to wait a specified amount of time between like finding out you're pregnant and getting the abortion. So usually it's about 24 hours. I know in Utah, if you go to like, for instance, a Planned Parenthood, you have to attend, like, it's almost like a little seminar or something. Basically, you go into this room, there's a bunch of other people that are also pregnant. They talk to you about, like, things that could go wrong during the abortion. And, well, they basically give you the spiel of, like, this is what an abortion is. Here's the different ways that you can do it, which, by the way, is a suction procedure or a series of 2 pills that you take. And then, by law, they have to tell you, like... this is what's bad about it. So they'll tell you things can go wrong. And then they will also tell you, like, maybe you could regret it. There's sometimes people regret it. A very, very extremely tiny percentage of people. Sometimes that happens.
I feel like that's such a big religious talking point is like the regret that you feel after you've, aborted and all this stuff. And it's like, unless you become religious, I feel like I've never met anybody who thinks like that.
Exactly.
It's like if you become religious and then you're like told that you murdered a baby,
then you probably
will feel bad because people will constantly be berating, maybe not you specifically, but like, women who get abortions, that like, oh, like you killed a baby. And it's like, yeah, you're going to obviously feel like shit.
Now you'll feel like shit.
If you're surrounded by people that are like, they're murderers.
Telling you you're a murderer.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying in Utah, where you have to go, like, attend that little seminar, and then you can receive the abortion. So that's 12 states in the U.S. You have to do 2 separate trips to the clinic in order to actually get the procedure done. The last little piece that I wanted to talk about, at least with this list I'm going through, is that in 37 states, they require, if you're a minor and you get pregnant, in 37 states, you have to have some kind of involvement from your parent in the decision to have the abortion, which is very fucked up and not okay at all.
Very, yeah. Because, people's parents are insane. Especially if you have religious-ass crazy parents.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
In 27 states, one or both of the parents have to consent to the procedure, and then in 10 states, one or both have to at least be notified that it's happening, which is just kind of, I'm like, okay, I don't know.
Which again can put people's lives and, it can be very,
huge danger.
Especially if you have I just think like abusive parents that are religious and
exactly. Exactly. And many children lose their homes this way.
Yeah.
My last little thing I want to go through here, and then, knowing me, I'll probably yell for a bit at the end, is the fact that abortions sometimes happen, or at least an abortion-like procedure happens, even if a person has chosen to carry a pregnancy to term. Something known as a D&C, which you might have heard about, is called a dilation and curettage procedure. This is a surgical procedure in which the cervix is dilated so that the uterine lining can be scraped with a curette to remove abnormal tissues. So basically, this is very similar to what happens during an abortion. Mm-hmm. Abnormal tissues or cells are found in the uterus and they are removed. That's all an abortion is. These cells are abnormal because they are not anything yet. Because it's not a fetus.
Yeah. That's the key point of abortion that is the big argument, right? Is does life begin at conception, as they say?
No.
But it doesn't.
Yes.
And so, but arguably, even if you're gonna say that it does, why are we not throwing people who do what do they call test tube babies?
Right.
What's that called?
Fuck.
It's not in.
What is the word?
In vitro, right?
Yes, thank you.
In vitro
fertilization.
Fertilization. Because those are fertilized babies,
right,
who have been conceived, whether it's in a test tube or in a human's
by
person's
their logic.
Body. By their logic, and then once you get pregnant that way, they throw out the other fetuses that are being kept. It's by their logic, you are killing babies, but nobody's picketing vitro clinics, pregnancy clinics that do that.
Right.
But again, it's your logic is flawed and you're stupid and you're also dumb and gay.
Because all their logic is forcing people to not have control of their own bodies.
Absolutely. It's because they want to control women.
Yes, exactly.
And people with uteruses.
So these D&Cs, these happen when there's complications in the pregnancy that could lead to the death of the pregnant person. This is done when the fetus dies before full term and birth. This happens if if the fetus is carried almost all the way to term and then you have a stillbirth. At times, to remove that stillborn child out of the person, you have to do a D&C type procedure. This is, again, just like the miscarriage situation, this is a situation that for the person who wants to bring the fetus to term, this is one of the worst things that can happen to you.
Absolutely crushing, I'm sure.
If we don't allow these D&Cs, which multiple states are moving to remove and put basically under the same ruling as abortions, and just turn D&Cs into basically the same thing as an abortion, or looked at the same way, this would mean that people who have a stillborn child or a non-fully developed child within them that does not make it to term, they just have to have it in there. This would mean that somebody who does not have a fully developed fetus inside of them, that for whatever reason there's complications and they could die, and it's not a fully developed fetus, they just have to die.
They just have to die.
So again, this obviously is not about protecting life. This is not about protecting children. This is about control.
Yeah, as it always has been.
Yes. And as we all know, preaching to the choir here, but of course we've all been recently seeing the formula shortage and the price raises on formula, baby formula. Again, yet another reason why this is not actually a pro-life situation, because if you cared at all about children, you would be making sure that those types of things are not happening. Healthcare is a huge example, because here's the thing. Even, so I think a lot of us know how expensive giving birth in the United States is. But even before actually giving birth, the amount of appointments you have to go to, weekly appointments to the doctor to continue checking on the pregnancy and make sure that things are going well, those all cost you money. As well as prenatal vitamins, as well as all of the other multiple things that you need to do healthcare-wise when pregnant. That all costs a shitload of money. We know that our healthcare system in the United States is ass. And many people either have insurance that is horrible or don't have insurance because it's unbelievably expensive. Education is not free.
Yeah.
Welfare is extremely difficult to get and also is being pushed to not even exist anymore. Minimum wage is nothing. What is it called? Maternal leave is like 2 fucking weeks.
Yeah.
Paternal leave is nothing.
Well, see, Phoebe, but you forget that poor people should just work harder.
Exactly.
That's
right.
What,
Right. So work through your pregnancy and also just like while you have a child, you should just be working 3 jobs to support that child.
True.
And also daycare costs money, but like even if you can't afford it, it's fine. Like your 2-year-old can just stay at home by themselves.
Yeah,
right?
and if you don't want to have a kid, then you should just not have sex
at all,
or like have relations with anybody because that's not a human need. That's on the hierarchy of human needs. Is like literal like intimacy. Human touch and intimacy. Like so I mean that's just it's your fault really.
True. I'm also forgetting that like I have logic and like morals and
true. I mean that's like it's kind of like what you were saying with like the Jesus or the Bible thing. Like you the biggest mistake you can make is assuming that people who preach the Bible have actually read the Bible.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. Is like you make a mistake thinking that people who say they love and want to protect children actually give a single fuck about children.
Yeah, exactly.
So
another prime example is like the fact that they are trying to. I mean, we talked about this. There was an episode where I talked about like the lunch program in schools and how they were trying to not have that be a thing anymore. And I mean, we've seen in the past when kids don't have lunch money and
they literally are in
people
debt.
Will literally throw the child's lunch into the garbage when they cannot afford to pay for it.
They're literally, it makes children, these fucking 8-year-olds are in debt to the school.
Yeah.
And granted, like I know it's like their parents are in debt or whatever, but it's like you're gonna not give this kid the shittiest lunch you've ever seen in your entire life, and you're gonna fucking
with
be like,
no nutritional value.
You need fucking $2 to pay for this or whatever. It's like, are you fucking kidding me, dude?
Yeah.
Like I cannot. Oh my god. We just. So, I mean, we live in such a. Whenever I think about it, and you list it off, we're like, we live in the evilest country in the entire fucking world.
No,
dude.
It's true. It's true in the most like sinister, snaky ways fucking possible. But yeah, I mean, it's like there's multiple ways to illustrate how this is not about protecting children. This is not a pro-life situation. Preaching to the choir, but let's again talk about, as I just talked about 2 weeks ago, last week. I don't know.
Some week.
This last little bit has been a blur. But when we were talking about the border, the U.S.-Mexico border, they are literally ripping children away from their parents.
Absolutely.
Tell me how that's pro-life. Tell me how there has been multiple school shootings, including the murder of multiple elementary school-aged children via fucking an assault rifle, and what has been done at all to prevent that kind of thing from happening to children, by the way, the very thing that you claim to be protecting in this situation. But, let's protect children by forcing people to have children who cannot afford to take care of them. Let's protect children by ripping children who are trans away from their supportive parents who are helping them to like fulfill who they are as a person, because that's child abuse. Let's make it so that same-sex couples can't adopt babies.
A loving family that literally wants to take in a child, but they're they're gay, so can't do that. It's it's rough.
It's rough.
But, and again, it's like, it's never been about protecting children. And another thing I was going to say is, like, why don't we see, like, if you're so pro-life, if you're so pro-life cradle to grave, why don't we see more bills, more discussion about fucking elderly people and medical bills that elderly people deal with?
Exactly.
Some of the elder abuse that happens.
Exactly.
Like, if you're pro-life cradle to grave, as so many fucking Christians like to say they are, where is the conversation about this? Because I literally, in my job, I talk to people who, like, all fucking day that are like, my wife has cancer. We have medical bills that are hundreds of thousands of dollars. I can't do this thing, you know, like I'm in the worst financial place in my entire life, and it's like no one gives a fuck about that.
No.
So why do you care so much? Like,
because it's like, it's pro-life until they come out of the uterus.
Exactly.
And then after that, it doesn't matter if you can't afford to take care of the child. It doesn't matter if you are a drug addict and you are just not mentally in the place to care for a child right now. It doesn't matter if you're literally homeless. It doesn't matter, you know, if you have a job that you make minimum wage at and have no benefits. Doesn't matter. As long as you carry that child to term and pop it out. Yeah, that's what they care about.
Pro-life
after
if
that,
you're rich and white.
It's in your hands.
Pro-life if you're rich and white.
Yep,
that's how it's always been.
Exactly.
Rich, cis, straight, and white.
Yep.
Like, and typically a man.
Yeah, that too. So, yeah, we have, it's looking to be about in the next 2 months that we will see the final decision on this. I'm not feeling well about it, given that there is a literal rapist on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And, I mean, one proven and probably multiple others that we don't yet know about.
Almost certain.
So, yeah, I'm not feeling good. I'm really scared and upset.
Oh, for sure. It's not looking good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so go, like I said, cause a ruckus. Like I said 2 weeks ago, cause a ruckus.
Exactly.
Go to your protests.
Yep.
Donate to abortion funds in your area.
Yes.
Help people out right now.
Yes. And a note to say about that is Planned Parenthood is amazing. What they do is incredible. They're extremely supportive of people. Multiple health services given that aren't just abortions. However, Planned Parenthoods are in a good position right now. Maybe later they won't be as well I am like blah, blah, blah. I'm upset right now. Maybe later on they won't be in as good of a position as they are right now, but for now Planned Parenthoods are actually doing okay. So I encourage you to look for local underground abortion
like funds
and networks and things like that. I know that's a bit easier said than done, but I believe with just a little bit of researching on like your Instagram and your Twitters, you'll be able to find local ones.
There's one in Utah specifically. I think it's were you gonna say that?
Well, you go.
I think isn't it like SLC Abortion Fund is like the name of it?
Let me research right now and just make sure.
I want to say it's something like that because I remember hearing about it at some of the protests.
Same.
Yeah. I think it's good to support and, again, you know, help each other out when things like this come up because, like we were saying, it's you know, one of the most difficult times in a person's life and it's, they need support, you know, and if you can't always give like financially. I mean, just being there for people to talk about it. I mean, you know, check in on your friends who have uteruses because it's fucking rough right now. Like literally people are holding their bodily autonomy over their heads and being like, hey, you might lose this. And, you know, I also strongly encourage people with, men primarily, but people with penises, to fucking start saying shit. Like, it's just been real quiet from all the men, you know? Yeah. And it's like, this affects you, first of all, just as much. And again, like, if you're progressive leftist men out there, if you're not fucking talking about this shit, like, you need to be. Like, it's not just a woman's issue. It's not just a uterus issue. Like,
for Utah, it's called the Utah Abortion Fund.
There it is, yeah.
I don't think that they have an Instagram up. I couldn't find their Instagram fund, but they are on Twitter as UT Abortion Fund. So pretty please donate to them if you're an SLC local. If you're not, look into similar things in your home state. I also just want to say, while we're on the subject, shout out to Phoebe Bridgers, because not only did she tweet about her abortion, but she also literally out loud, like in front of the entire crowd at her concert in Utah recently in Salt Lake City, spoke about her abortion. Mm-hmm. And first of all, that takes fucking so much guts to do as like a person who is like in the limelight, and you have like, she could lose everything by admitting that. And then also to do it in a state that's like extremely conservative like Utah. Seriously, because the more that people openly speak about it, the more that like it just becomes normalized. Yeah. I had an abortion. I'll say it. Yeah. I had one. Best decision of my life. If I had not have had one, my life and that child's life would be a nightmare. Mm-hmm. I could not have afforded, first of all, the doctor's appointments, the price of the birth, and the price of raising a child. And also, I don't know how to raise a kid, and I don't want one, so it wouldn't go well.
It wouldn't be a good time.
So thank God that I could have one, and that another human being is now not suffering because I didn't have the ability to control what goes on with my own body. Yeah. Because that's the truth of it all, is that if you're not giving people the ability to make this choice, what you're actually ensuring is not the protection of a child, it's you are ensuring the suffering of a child. Period, point blank, that's what it is. Because people who don't want children, or people who are not in a place to have children, which is the reason why people have abortions, you are going to end up with a child who is suffering. That is all you're doing by outlawing abortions. So
agreed.
There you go.
Yeah, no, for sure. Again, I think talk about it when you're comfortable, and again, raise awareness for it and make it or normalize it as best you can. But yeah, donate to those funds.
Amen. Yes.
Phoebe kind of said it all. Like, I don't have anything to add.
Thanks. Yeah. Support each other and look into, local, like, underground grassroots types of things. And yeah, if you are somebody who is not in a position, who's like not having your very rights to your body dangled over you, support your friends who are, and just like promise us that you'll be there to help us fight. Yeah. Because it helps us feel a lot better.
And just be there to help them fight too. Don't just promise.
Well, yeah, promise. Actually do it.
Do it. But yeah, just be encouraging.
Yeah. Yeah. I could go off a lot more, but I think I need to calm down.
It's okay. I mean, it's a topic that affects, again, it doesn't just affect you, but it affects you more directly, but it affects all of us.
But yeah, I guess I'm just going to fucking go off because why not?
Do it.
It's my podcast. Well, it's our podcast, but
But it's your podcast.
But yeah, and I'm living with the experience of like a cisgender white woman, so obviously that puts me in a place of privilege that other people are not. But even with my place of privilege that I'm in, I just like, cis white men, you are so fucking scary. Like, I need there to be an understanding, and there never will be, but like, the removal of Roe v. Wade is more than just like, oh, I can't have an abortion anymore. It opens up a control of those of us with uteruses so much more. This opens up so many more opportunities to have whatever done to us that they want to do to us.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what I was going to say is like, people who have penises, like, don't think that you're like safe just because it doesn't directly affect you. Like, any chiseling away of like your human rights is just because for now it doesn't affect you. I mean, it's a real bad snowball effect.
Exactly.
Again, what if they decide that you can't get vasectomies? Are you gonna start showing up then? Like, what's the where does it stop? Like, at what point do we say like, no, that's stupid and that doesn't make any sense, because it should be right now. And if we don't say it right now, it's going to be the next thing and the next thing.
Exactly.
So, it's rough. But you know what else you can support?
God. It's always so hard with episodes like these to like transition into our fucking pluggy plugs.
Good old plugs. Well, we'll do it really quick. The Twitter is at at RemarksPod on Twitter.com. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
And I have a YouTube channel called The Lefty Agenda you can check out, which has some videos.
Our Instagram is at Remarks Podcast. Our TikTok is at Remarks Podcast. And you can subscribe to our Patreon, which is $5 a month. We do bonus episodes, which is more funny content, so you could go listen after the rough episodes and laugh a little bit.
Absolutely. We're gonna record one pretty soon.
Yeah.
Also, let's give a shout out to our patrons.
Let's do that.
Who are... We have Justin Vass.
We have Tere Soltero.
And Emily Duran.
And Andrew Vass. Thank y'all so much. You are the best.
You.
We love you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me yell and listening to me yell once again.
You deserve it.
Thank you.
You deserve it. And, I think you were yelling correct things, so it wasn't. For sure.
Good.
But yeah,
well,
see y'all on the Patreon if you're going to go subscribe.
Yeah, see you on the flippity flop. Thanks for listening, and
K love you, bye.